Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I'm answering a bunch of your questions. Like, would I buy the Breguet Type 20 or the Omegas Speedmaster? Which is the better chronograph? What is the next Grand Seiko I'm going to add to my collection? And Lange versus JLC. But of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. I'm back with the Panerai Luminor Marina PAM 111. One of my first ever luxury watches. Perfect for summer, loving it to death. I'm actually not used to quite how big it is, even though on a guy my size, it's a pretty good size. I've just been wearing slightly smaller watches. And also, fellas, please check out delraywatch.com. We just got in 3 amazing watches in stock. Well, 3 that I'm going to share with you, but a bunch more. We got in a limited edition Zin Dark Star for Revolution magazine. Sold out everywhere. We have one unworn, box and papers. We just got in a very cool Vacheron Constantin Historique Toledo. A beautiful watch. Actually, a very interesting case shape with melted lugs. And a gorgeous IWC Mark 18 Le Petit Prince with box papers, bracelet, and extra strap. Cannot get more complete than that, amongst other things. That's at delraywatch.com, link in the description below. So yeah, guys, today I'm answering your questions that you asked me on Instagram. That's at Federico Talks Watches. I've got your questions here, so if you see me staring down, I'm just reading them off the paper, and there's some pretty good ones this week. Let's get right into it. Adam Zlatanovic says, what is your favorite material when it comes to watches? I mean, in the sense of steel, gold, platinum, etc. Well, there is no doubt that the best material to make watches in is steel. It holds a polish well, it's very durable, it's not soft. You know, yes, it's not a noble metal like gold, but actually, if you ask any watchmaker, gold is probably the worst choice of a material to make watches in. Well, silver, technically, but gold is pretty god-awful for practical purposes. That being said, as much as I love steel, I adore a nice 18-karat rose gold case. Matches very well with my skin tone, that warm hue, the weight, the heft. I love it, but honestly, steel is probably the best. I'm not really into the exotic materials like carbon fiber and ceramic and sapphire. I'm an easy-to-please kind of guy. Just give me some rose gold. Marcelo Suro said, have you thought about what Grand Seiko will be next for your second try? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing as well, Marcelo. And actually, no, I haven't thought about it at all. All I know is that I absolutely will be trying Grand Seiko again. Very high quality watch. I owned one, sold it shortly thereafter, couldn't connect with it. I still get a lot of crap from people that just don't understand that for me, a watch is not all about tech specs. It's about connection, and I just couldn't connect with it. That being said, Grand Seiko makes great watches. I will try one again, probably a high beat automatic as opposed to the spring drive. I'm just not sure which one. Hopefully in the next 12 to 24 months, I'll have another Grand Seiko. RJZ, excuse me. Best car or racing related watch in your opinion? Well, of course you've got Speedmaster and Daytona. Hard to argue with those, but I'm gonna go with a weird one. Have you seen the Giuliano Mazzuoli Manometro? A watch, designed after gauges, made by Italian brand Giuliano Mazzuoli, who's a famous designer, mainly using Era and Salita movements, but I think a very cool racing-inspired watch, and off the beaten path. SM Garofalo, what are your thoughts on the Breguet Type 20? I was thinking about pulling the trigger on an Omegas Speedmaster, but then I saw that I can get a Breguet on my wrist for the same money. Well, I want you guys to listen to me carefully, because I'm going to say some very negative things about the Type 20, but that's not my ultimate conclusion. What do I think about the Breguet Type 20? Well, my biggest disappointment is I can't believe Breguet, a company that should be in the Holy Trinity, that's up there with Patek Philippe, is using a chronograph that is cam powered, no column wheel. I find it extremely beneath them. And there's a reason why the Breguet Type 20 is so much cheaper than every other Breguet, and that is because it's got a relatively cheap movement to every other Breguet. That being said, love the history, love the design, great case, great dial, great everything. I love Speedmasters. I think they're a fantastic choice, and they are also cam operated, but I do find the Breguet movement to be better overall. And yes, I think for the money, a Breguet Type 20, for the same money as a Speedmaster or very similar money, would be my choice. It is a slightly better watch, but I still think Breguet shouldn't have kind of stooped that low. I just wish it had a column wheel movement, in my opinion. Both ultimately great watches, but you have to remember you're comparing a $4,000 Speedmaster to a Breguet. I mean, that almost shouldn't be allowed comparison-wise, but it is, and it's entirely Breguet's fault. J Rose 1125 with a question out of left field. What is your favorite cut of beef? That's easy. Dry-aged bone-in ribeye. Bring it to Papa. Say 97 PGT. First of all, love your stuff in channel. Well, thank you so much. Zona 1815 up and down or JLC duomètre, or save more for an FP Journe chronomètre Sauvron. This question drives me a little nuts, and it's not your fault to the person who asked it, but the fact that an Zona 1815 up and down, and a JLC duomètre, watches with complications with, Zona the best finishing out there. JLC, the duomètre, fantastic movement, 2 separate escapements as compared to a time-only FP Journe is nuts to me. Now, I love FP Journe. Let me say that out there. I adore FP Journe. But the finishing is mediocre compared to the Zona. It's got no complications like the duomètre, excuse me. It's pure hype. I don't think, and I'm not trying to be harsh here, this is what I believe, I don't think the FP Journe is even half of the watch that a duomètre is. Sure, not the chronomètre Sauvron, sure, their resonance is, their deadbeat second tourbillon is, the octa divine is, but we're talking the entry-level FP Journe manual wind, costing the same as a double escapement, multi-barrel, hand-engraved JLC. It's not the same. No, don't save up for the FP Journe. You'd be buying into the stupid hype of these collectors buying watches for investments. The FP Journe market is one of the most annoying things on earth right now. And it's not FP Journe's fault. I love his watches. It's just people spending $30,000 for a manual wind, not entirely hand-finished movement with no complications. I mean, it's people with more money than sense. So no, I would not save up for the FP Journe. Fantastic watch. If you own it, it's great. Not worth 30 grand. Now, might be worth 60 later because of the market? Sure. Horologically speaking, not worth 30 grand. Not even close. Risty Freak. Hello from Poland. I know you are a big car enthusiast. Would you rather drive a bad car and wear great watches, or drive a supercar and wear cheap and low quality watches? Keep doing a good job with YouTube. Greetings. Thank you so much, my man. And this is the easiest question of the day. Yeah, I love cars. I adore cars and I adore watches. But any day of the week, I'd rather drive a crappy car and enjoy my watches. Watches I can bring with me anywhere. On a trip, in bed with me, to work. I can have multiple. They're easy to store. You don't necessarily need to insure them. I mean, even though you kind of should. I think it's a much more nuanced hobby, much easier to enjoy, much harder to explain and justify, but I don't have to justify myself. I go with my gut and my heart, and I say watches all day long. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. It really does help. And please don't forget to subscribe. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.